Welcome to Twyford Yoga this morning. So be aware of how you feel as you move through all the postures that we do today. Make any adjustments that you want to. Rest whenever you need to as well. And be aware of anything that's around you, furniture. So we're starting lying down on our backs. And find your most comfortable place to lie. So you can have your feet a little bit apart if that feels comfy, together if that's more comfortable. Just consider where your arms are the most comfortable as well. Palm up, palm down. Shoulders resting on the floor and back of your head resting heavy. See if you can detect any movement of air on your body. So if you have a window open, probably you can. If you don't have a window near you, maybe you can't. But actually, if you tune in, you might be able to feel something. It might come and go. So even if you can't feel anything, be looking out for something. And whether you're feeling something or just feeling out for it, knowing that it's movement of air, it's breeze on your body, what is that thing that tells you that that sensation is a breeze on your body? Movement of air on your skin. I know there's certain places where you feel it more. It's only going to be where there's exposed skin, but that will be your arms, your feet and your legs, maybe your neck, your face. Turn your attention now from that sensation on your skin to your breath. And allow your breath to slow down to a slow but comfortable pace. I'm going to use that pace to move our arms in time with the breath. So starting with your arms by your sides. And then when you next take a breath in, take your arms all the way over beyond your head. And as you breathe out, bring your arms back down. Same movement with every breath. the next time your arms are beyond your head, leave them stretched out there. Bring your legs together, push your heels away, and then stretch your arms a little longer. So your elbows are starting to straighten, your upper arms are easing towards the floor, your back ribs want to move away from the floor, but you're holding them down. Spread your fingers wide, spread your toes wide. Stretch so you can feel in between each finger, in between each toe, stretching. And then relax your hands and feet. Relax your shoulders. Bring your arms back down by your sides. Bend your knees, feet onto the mat, and then knees onto your chest. Hands around your knees. Rock them from side to side. And then bring your feet back down onto the floor. Take a roll over to one side, make your way gently up to standing for our salute to the sun. So toes are pointing forwards, feet together or apart, whatever suits you. An even footprint with each foot on the mat. And a feeling of sort of zipping up through the insides of the legs with soft knees. And then picture your whole rib cage. See if it can float up higher away from your hips. So it's like the sides of your waist lengthen and tighten as if you've got a tighter belt on. And your collarbones, this line of collarbones across the top. In your mind's eye, see that line, broaden it. And then if you could picture where in space your earlobes are, lift your earlobes up away from that line. So feet firm, a zip up through the legs, rib cage floating high, and then earlobes floating up away from your collarbones. And then lift your arms up to the ceiling. So as you lift your arms up, stretch them up high, straighten your arms, but keep your earlobes lifted high up away from your collarbones again. And then look up, reach back and wide. Stretch your fingers out behind, stretch your feet back down to the floor. Look forwards, reach up. Take your first forward fold, so as much bend of your knees as you want. Let your fingertips come onto the floor. Relax your shoulders, look between your legs. Your right foot steps back to a lunge. Sinking your hips, looking forwards. Left foot back to down face dog. Move up into spine, strong hands and feet on the floor, and then slide forwards to plank. Hold that plank steady. Knees to the floor. Front body all the way smoothly down. Roll your shoulders back, a lift of your chest. So your hands are light on the floor. It's your upper back that's lifting you up. Look back down at the floor, push up to hands and knees, tuck your toes under. down face dog, tummy button to spine, and then a walk through your legs. So bending one knee, stretching the other leg, alternating. Making sure your hands are really firm on the floor and that your hips stay lifted. And then both legs straighten. Feel the stretch down both legs. Whole length of both legs. Weight on the left foot. Look between your hands. Step the right foot through to a lunge. Left foot forwards, forward fold. Deep bend of your knees, hips down low. Keep your hips low as your shoulders lift. If an arch of your back, then your back is in its final place. All you have to do is straighten your legs. Palms together at the top. Slide your palms down. So a moment just to check in again. Feet firm, zip up through the legs. Rib cage floating, earlobes floating. And then lift your arms. Look up. Reach back and wide, as if the rib cage that you lifted up is now just tilted back. Stretch your arms. Look forwards, reach up. Forward fold. Left leg back to a lunge. Sink your hips, look forwards. Right foot back to down face dog. And then forwards to plank. Picture your straight line in your mind's eye. If you're feeling strong, leave your knees lifted as you lower down. Otherwise, place your knees down first and then slowly down. Elbows close in by your sides. Shoulders away from your ears to lift your chest. And look back down, push up to hands and knees. Toes tuck under, down face dog. So have another walk through your legs. But as you walk through your legs this time, see if you can keep the height in your hips. And find a completely flat palm with each hand on the floor. So if the base of your index finger doesn't like being on the floor, focus on pressing that bit down. Over time it starts to not mind so much. And then stretching both legs again. Feel that shape underneath you. Weight on your right foot, look between your hands, and then step the left foot through to a lunge. Right foot joins it, forward fold. Deep bend of your knees, hips down low. Lift your shoulders. Straighten your legs to come up. Palms together as high as you can. And then palms to your heart center. Quick check of your standing. And then we're going with the breath. So a breath in to lift your arms up to the ceiling. Exhale, back bend. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, right leg back to a lunge. Exhale, down face dog. Inhale, plank. Option to drop your knees. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, down face dog. So find the best place for your hands and feet on the floor. Firm them down, tummy button to spine. And then feel the shape that is made underneath your body. That shape of space. And could you move that shape of space a little bit further back? Lovely, and then hold it back. Think about the space rather than for what's surrounding it, your body surrounding it, just the space. Move that space back. And then weight on your left foot, look between your hands. Breath in, right foot forwards. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, stand up. Exhale, palms down. Breath in here. And a breath out. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, back bend. Inhale up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, left leg back. Exhale, down face dog. Inhale, plank. Option to drop your knees. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, down face dog. Slow, steady breaths. Make any adjustments with your hands and feet. Firm them down, even the base of your index fingers. Tummy button to spine. Find the space again, the shape of that space, and slide it back. Steady, slow breath. Whatever action takes that space back is the right thing to do. Weight on your right foot. Look between your hands and then a breath in, left foot forwards. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up. Exhale, palms down. Breath in here. And a breath out. See if you can just rest your arms by the sides of you without making any other adjustments. You can step your feet a bit wider if that's more comfy. The balance we're going to do today is the balance where we take a forward fold and then lift a leg out behind and take a hold of the ankle. So you need that space behind you. That's kind of the only bit of space that you need. So just so that you know where we're going to go, make sure you've got the space. I think I'll just angle round a little bit. So standing tall, find that same mountain pose position. Ribs lifting, earlobes lifting. And then take a breath in to lift your arms. And a breath out to forward fold. So get your fingertips on the floor. We're going to balance on the right leg first. So you want to make a big, the three corners of an equilateral triangle with your right foot and both sets of fingertips. So you can make that as big as you want. Tummy button draws in, and as your tummy button draws in, it's like you've got a loop around you from the ceiling and it's being lifted, it's hoisting you up to the ceiling. You've almost got to pull your fingers and your foot down to the floor to reach the floor. So straight left leg lifts up behind. I don't mind whether the right knee is bent or not, but the left leg is straight, just as high as it wants to go, no further than parallel. Tummy button lifts up again. And then take one hand onto your standing ankle. If that doesn't work, put it back down again. If it does work, try the other hand as well. Tighten the left leg. Lift up through the tummy button. A steady gaze on the floor. Stay there. Lovely. Both sets of fingertips back down on the floor. A bend of your standing leg. Bring your left foot back down onto the floor as well. So feet hip distance apart, a good bend of your knees. Tuck your tailbone under, tuck your chin in so you've got a rounded back, and then roll back up to standing. Just stand when you get there. And when I suggest that you just stand and don't move, if you know you need to move, then of course please move. It's quite interesting just to try and stand still and feel all that motion inside, all the stuff going on inside, and feeling how it does settle down. So your mountain pose again, and then lift your arms to the ceiling. Breath in, and then as you exhale, take your forward fold. Bend your knees as much as you need to. This time, make that triangle from your left toes and both sets of fingertips. Take your weight onto your left foot. Suck your tummy button as if you're trying to pull it right up to the ceiling. Send the right leg out behind. Send it straight. The tighter that leg is, the more lifted you are. If you have a moment now just to soften the right leg, feel how the rest of your body softens as well. So re-tighten the leg, squeeze the thigh, pull up through your tummy button, hold your gaze somewhere on the floor or your mat, and then if you want to, one hand and then the other hand onto your standing ankle. Both sets of fingertips back down on the floor. Right foot back down on the floor. Feet a little bit apart. Deep bend of both knees. Tuck your tailbone under, tuck your chin in. Roll up to standing. Just stand. Wonderful. And then have a lie down on your front on the floor. So make a pillow with your hands, rest your forehead on your pillow. Maybe see if you can feel any movement of air on the surface of your skin. So you want to have your feet stretched out behind as if they're two parallel lines, and the tops of your toes are on the floor and your kneecaps are on the floor. So you know that both legs are facing face down rather than rotating in or rotating out. There's no rotation in your legs. I'm going to try to hold on to that feeling. It's going to be tempting to externally rotate your legs for a lot of us. So that's a feeling that the heels roll in towards each other, but we're going to try and avoid that feeling. So just make that little action now, heels rolling together. Feel like your buttocks squeeze together. That's what you probably might want to do. I'm going to ask you not to, and to keep your heels at that sort of neutral distance apart. So you can keep your head rested for now. We're just going to do the legs. You can tuck your toes under. If you're not sure, look forwards and see, but it's just tucking your toes under and then lifting your knees up off the floor. So that brings a bit of tightness to your legs. Bring some more tightness to your legs, like really squeeze your thighs. Press down with that whole width of your hip crease. And keeping your legs that tight, the legs don't move, but feel how you can just untuck your toes and point your toes out behind you. So your knees are off the floor, kneecaps still pointing down, this is where your heels might want to roll in. Keep them parallel. Stretch your toes out to the wall behind, and then relax your legs, let them rest down on the floor. So that's what we're going to do with the lower body. We're going to bring the upper body in as well. So we'll sort the lower body out each time and then upper body. But this time, fingertips to temples, and then just rest your chin or forehead on the floor for now while we do the legs. Tuck your toes under, lift your knees, squeeze your legs, heels don't roll in, stretch your toes out behind. So the legs are working. Lift your elbows up off the floor, shoulders away from your ears, take a breath in, lift your chest. So it's like the upper arms, the backs of the shoulders all lift into the space behind them. You're lifting your chest, you're stretching your toes out behind. Lovely, as much lift as you can, steady breath, one more breath in. Exhale, lower everything gently back down. Rest your hands where you want to, we'll take a couple of breaths. So we're going to do it twice more. We're going to do slightly different things with the arms, but if you don't want to take those extra options with the arms, then just keep fingertips to temples. And you don't have to stay up as long as I ask you to either, you come down when you're ready. So fingertips to temples once again. Toes tuck under. Lift your knees, feel that tightness in your legs. And then point your toes out behind. Same thing with your arms. Lift your elbows to start, and then as you take a breath in, lift everything up. Chest lifts. Really feels like it's the upper arms and the backs of the shoulders that are moving up into the space behind them to lift you. Stretch your legs out again, heels not rolling in towards each other, and then take your arms wide out to the side like you're flying. And a feeling that you're going to rotate the whole length of your arm outwards if the palms come forwards. To lift your chest some more, stretch your legs out, breath in, exhale, lower back down, bring your hands back as your pillow. Take a couple of deep breaths. So final one, toes tuck under, lift your knees, squeeze your legs. Point your toes out behind, fingertips to temples, shoulders away from your ears, take a breath in, lift your chest, then a steady breath, lengthen your feet, lift the backs of your arms, stretch them out wide, but this time they're not going to stay out wide, they're going to float all the way around behind you, as if your fingertips are trying to reach back in the same direction as your toes. Squeeze your shoulder blades so your upper back gets narrower. It's like everything's pulling back to the wall behind apart from your chest. One more breath in, lovely, and then exhale. Lower back down, rest wherever it feels comfy to rest. And then we're going to come up to hands and knees for a side stretch, but if you don't want to do hands and knees, then stay lying on the floor. So Paddy, that's you. You're going to stretch one arm out and the same leg out the other way when we all know when we get there, just so that you can elongate one whole side of your body, and then when we go the other side, you stretch the other side. So everyone else, up to hands and knees. Knees wide as the mat. And then hands a good step forward, so you can feel that your arms are at an angle. Your wrists aren't underneath your shoulders, they're forwards of your shoulders. So we're going to stretch the right side first. So you're going to walk both hands around to the left until your right hand lands where your left hand was. And then that hand's going to stay there as you slide your hips back towards your heels. And the left hand and arm can just relax on the floor, but you don't move your right hand. Because you've gone so far forwards with your hands, you shouldn't be able to come all the way back with your hips. If your hips land, then creep your right hand forwards. So relax your head and neck. Find the big stretch on the right side of your body. So pressing your palm down into the floor gives you a bit of stretch. Pulling the right hip back gives you some more. Take a breath into that deep, long stretch. And then as you exhale, just prepare yourself for another big stretch. So the big stretch comes on the breath in. One more breath in. And then as you exhale, lift your hips up forwards so the stretch is eased away. Walk your hands back to the centre. Keep your hands forwards, And then we're going to walk the hands around to the right, so that the left hand replaces the right hand in that corner of the mat. Right hand just relaxes down, firm down through the left palm, that's not going to move. Slide your hips back. So right arm relaxes, head and neck relax. You're finding as much stretch on your left side as you can. Lovely. So palm firmly down, left hip firmly back. Strong breath into your biggest stretch. And then an exhale, just to maybe ease off very slightly so that you can go again on your breath in. One more big breath in, big stretch. And then as you exhale, lift your hips. Walk your hands back around. And then sit yourself back on your heels or rest on your front. So keep your knees wide and reach your hands forwards for now, so that your hands on the floor give yourself a bit of leverage to push your hips back as far as they will want to without springing forwards. And then snuggle your rib cage in between your knees. Then relax forwards. Then you can bend your elbows. You can make a pillow if you want to. See what you can let go of. Are you holding on to your hips? Are your shoulders tense for any reason? Hands under your shoulders. Lift your chest, bring yourself up, and we're going to come all the way up to standing. And we're going to have the, if you can possibly, the short edge of the mat pointing to your screen. But of course, if that doesn't work for you, then that doesn't matter. You want to be so you want to stand at the front end of your mat. I'm going to move so that you can see the whole of me in my face as well. But you stand at the front end of your mat. I'll move around so that I can sort of be visible as much as I can. Oh no, we're not. Done the wrong one first. So back of the mat, sorry. Back of the mat, but still long ways on. So hands on hips, and turn your left leg out and step your right foot forwards. So it doesn't have to be a big step. If you feel a little unsteady, if you take your right foot wider out to the side, it makes it more steady. So make your choice there. Your front toes are pointing forwards and your back toes are pointing slightly out to the side. So because your left leg is back and your right leg is forward, your hips want to come in that same twist as well. But bring your hips back in line with your shoulders and level with the front end of the mat. So it takes a bit of sort of purpose to do that. So the left tip of the front thigh moves towards the front of the mat, and you have to dig the left heel back down in the floor to hold it steady. That's where we're going to have our legs and hips. Hands are going to be interlocked behind you. If you can't reach to hold behind, then hands on hips is fine, because what we're going to think about doing is squeezing the upper arms together. So feel that squeeze that you get. We're going to do that squeezing in order to lift the chest, because if for a moment you relax your arms and slouch your shoulders, you can't really make that same action. That action makes you lift your chest. That's the intention of having it. You want to be reminded to lift your chest. So we're going to hinge forwards in a moment. And when you hinge forwards, if your weight is equal now on both feet, when you hinge forwards and take your shoulders forwards, then your centre of gravity will move over your front, more over your front leg. So we want to keep it even. So as you hinge forwards, you're going to slide your hips back to the wall behind. So it's only a subtle movement, but it takes a bit of intention. So square your hips again, dig the back heel in, tummy button to spine, because when you lean forwards, your core is going to have to support your shoulders. So breath in here, and then as you exhale, very slowly, hinge from your hips. As you hinge from your hips, push your hips back to the wall behind. And not just your left hip, your right hip as well. Trying to keep as much weight on the back foot as you lean over. Squeeze the upper arms together. Keep your chest lifted. Doesn't matter how far you go. So if your right knee feels a little bit tight, a tiny bend, like that much bend, is good for the kneecap. Squeeze your upper arms together. And if you've got your hands behind your back rather than on your hips, lift them up towards the ceiling. Squeeze them together though. Let your head and neck hang. Keep pulling your hips back, drawing your tummy button in, head and neck hanging. Fist reaching up behind, and like you've got, stay there, like you've got a soft ball in between your upper arms, squeeze it tight, like a foam ball, squeeze it tight. Lovely, steady breath. Dig the back heel into the floor. Lovely, and then release your hands. Take your hands onto your hips, a deep bend in your right knee, and then press into your right foot, lift your chest. You're going to come all the way up to standing by pressing really firmly into your front foot. So breath in. And when you get there, step your feet together. Take a moment to rest. Parsvottanasana, this is called. So we're going to take it on the other side as well. Right toes turn out, left foot steps forwards. So if you found it difficult to keep your back heel dug into the floor when you've leaned forwards, don't take such a big step. Have a slightly smaller step, and then it's easier to keep the heel down. And again, if you feel wobbly, take your left leg wider out to the left. Hands on hips, and slide your hips around to the front of the mat. So this right hip comes forwards, or the very tip of the right thigh, I think it's easier to think about coming forwards. Right heel digs into the floor. Okay. Hands behind your back or on your hips if they won't reach. Squeeze your arms together, tummy button to spine, back heel firm. Take a breath in. As you exhale, slowly hinge, pushing your hips back, sliding your hips back as you hinge forwards. And if you feel a bit of tension, tightness in your left knee, then a little bend is fine. Lift the fist up towards the ceiling, let your head and neck hang. So remember, you're squeezing your upper arms together, and you're squeezing them together so that you keep that lift in your chest. Lovely. Is the back heel firmly down on the floor? Are the hips still square? Can you squeeze some more in your upper arms? Lift your fist. Take a bend in your left knee. Hands to hips. Get your balance there for a moment. Press down really firmly into your left foot, your front foot, as you lift your chest. And then keep your feet there, but just press firmly into the front foot as you take a breath in and come all the way up. And then step your feet together. Take your time. Feet hip distance apart. So all the commotion inside just needs to settle. And we know it always does. So now we're going to step to the front of the mat. I don't know where I'm going to step to. I think I might come sideways. So Utkatasana, chair pose. In fact, the first one I'm going to take this direction. Feet a little bit apart or together. So if you've got chair poses where we sit down on an imaginary chair, if you've got your feet together, you can have your knees together and you don't need to worry about anything. If you don't like feet and knees together and you prefer a bit apart, you want to make sure that your knees go in the same direction, not wide out, not knocking together, but that same distance apart. So your choice. And you're going to lift your arms up to the ceiling. Lift your rib cage, straighten your elbows, take a breath in, and there's your exhale, sit down on your stool. Tummy button to spine. So once you've found your stool, that's fine. Settle in, your tailbone's pointing down to the floor. You've still got that distance between your ribs and your hips. And then maybe you can sink your hips a little bit lower and lift your upper arms away from the floor. So stronger action, that upper arms away from the floor. Don't let it arch your back, tummy button to spine. One more lift of your upper arms. And as you take a breath in, come all the way up to standing. And then bring your arms by your sides. So we're going to do the same again, but we're going to finish a little bit differently. So I'm going to come onto the side. Lift your arms. So find your strong lift through your upper arms. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, sit down on your seat again. So knees are in line with your toes. Tummy button to spine. And a lift of your upper arms away from the floor. Strong on the arms, strong on the legs. Look down at the floor. You're going to lift your hips. And as you lift your hips, dive forwards into a forward fold. As much knee bend as you want. And then step your right foot all the way back to a lunge. And when you've lunged it back, if you're okay with putting it on the floor, put it on the floor. You can pick it up in a little bit. If you don't like it on the floor, then obviously don't put it down on the floor. I'm going to put mine down on the floor so I can show you when you can pick it up if you want to. So right hand on the floor next to your left foot. And your left hand on your left knee. I'll come sideways so you can see. We're going to twist the upper body to the left. So turn and look to the left. Turn your chest. It's like your right shoulder is coming closer to your left knee and your left shoulder is lifting up away from the floor. Lovely. Firm through your feet and through your right hand. So you've got a strong foundation. If you want to, you can lift the left hand up to the ceiling. As if you've got an imaginary wall that your right arm is leaning on, and then your left shoulder and your left arm lean back on that wall as well. It's a long way back. Let them find the wall. Lovely. Look back down at the floor, and then bring your left hand outside your left foot. So left hand is then going to come inside your left foot, either palm of the hand or fingertips, and right hand behind your back, palm face out. So firm down through the floor. Whatever's touching the floor, make it firm. You're going to twist the other way. You're going to twist to the right. We're not going to lift the arm this time. It's like your left side ribs are sliding sort of beyond your thigh, inside your thigh. Chest stays lifted, shoulders away from your ears. Lovely. Look back down at the floor. One hand either side of your foot. Tuck your back toes under. Lift your back knee. We're going to step through back to a forward fold so that we can swap over sides. So this time your left leg goes all the way back and your knee lands on the floor. A little check to make sure your ankle is underneath your knee. So if you're in this position, it's not so good on your knee. Creep your foot a little bit forwards. That's perfect, thanks. Left hand on the floor next to your right foot, right hand on your right knee. So lift your chest, relax your shoulders, push down into the floor and then turn to the right. So your right knee doesn't go out to the side. You feel your imaginary wall against your left arm and you roll your left shoulder blade against it, your right shoulder blade against it. If you want to, lift up your hand. Sorry, I forgot lifting the knee last time. If you want to, you can tuck your left toes under and lift your knee, but feel free to keep the knee on the floor if you'd rather. And then twist a little more. Lean back on that imaginary wall, right arm against it. Knee back down on the floor if you lifted it. Look down at the floor. Right hand on the floor outside your right foot. And then right hand inside your right leg. Ground down through the floor because that's the way you're going to get your balance. Left hand behind your back, palm face up. A lift of your chest and then a turn to the left. So back of the left shoulder moving into the space behind it. Look back down at the floor. Hands either side of your foot. This time though we're just going to step back to hands and knees. Paddy, I think you might want to come into a forward fold again. Oh yeah, or down face dog, perfect. Lovely. And then take a lie down on your back, any way you like. Another opportunity to see if there's any air moving over your body, any sense of any air. And then bend your knees, knees onto your chest, squeeze them in, hands around your knees and then bring your forehead up towards your knees. So relax your shoulders, squeeze your knees in and then gently lower your upper back and the back of your head to the floor. Have a rock side to side. And then feet onto the floor. Make your way up to sitting. So you may want to block for this exercise. You may not. Have it nearby just in case you do. We're going to sit with the feet wide apart. So if that's not a very comfy position for you, sitting on a block just gives you a little bit of assistance. So I would advise if it's difficult to sit up tall, have a block underneath you. And you can take a hand either side of your hips and then make that action to lift your rib cage up off your hips again. So feel how that sort of pushes your thighs down towards the floor. So don't be leaning into your hands. Maybe you can lift your hands up off the floor or maybe you need them just as a little bit of leverage to push you forwards. We're going to turn to face the right leg. So bring your left hand in front. Turn as if the laser beam that comes out of your tummy button is turning towards your right big toe. And then keep that twist of your body, but take the back of your left hand onto your left thigh and your right hand behind your back, palm face out. So Keep the right shoulder smooth rather than rolling forwards. And take a breath in, and as you exhale, slide your left fingers towards your left inside ankle. So you're trying to still look towards your right big toe as you slide down your left leg, rolling your right shoulder back. So just see how far it wants to go. Just go to that point where it starts to feel, yep, that's enough. Have a moment there, and then maybe it will go a little bit further. It's a curve of your spine. So the right buttock tries to sit heavy on the floor where it would like to lift up light. And your left shoulder can drop down because it's a curve. So it's not lengthening the left side, the underside. It's finding a curve in your spine. Keep the right shoulder rolling back, bring yourself back upright, keep looking towards your right big toe, and then take a hand either side of your right thigh. So now it's not a curve of your spine, it's a hinge at the hips. It's as if your right hip crease is trying to pull back in towards you as you creep your hands forwards. So take a good bend of your right knee if that makes it easier for you to walk forwards. Think about the right hip crease trying to pull back to the wall behind. Relax your shoulders, relax your head and neck. Know that it doesn't matter if you're still completely upright. Just think about the hip crease pulling back. Take a breath in as you pull it back. And then as you exhale, see if your shoulders have hunched a little, see if they can relax. One more breath there. Breath in, pulling the hip crease back. Exhale, softening. And then walk your hands back up. Bring your hands either side of your hips. Take a bend of your knees, walk them back together, give them a little bit of a shake, a little reset. Because of course we've only done one side. So out they come again. Sit yourself tall, feel your ribcage lifting up. And then with your ribcage lifted up, you're going to turn around to the left leg. So left hand behind your back, palm face out. Smooth through this left front shoulder. Right hand on your right leg. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, stay turned towards your left knee as you slide your right hands down. So it doesn't matter how far you go, but try and keep that left shoulder rolled back. And remember, it's a curve of the spine. So it's like you can let go a lot more. And your right shoulder can just drop down towards your knee. Lovely. Look at your left toes again. Bring yourself gently up. And then a hand either side of your left leg. Feel the hip crease as if it's being tugged back in towards you. Take a breath in, and then as you exhale, creep your hands forwards, creep your rib cage forwards. Think about creeping your right ribs forwards, because we're twisting as well. Well, not so much twisting, but we're going to one side. And the left side would like to go further than the right side. You can probably feel that your right hand would probably stretch further forwards than your left, keeping them equal. Relax your head and neck. Feel that hip crease. Take a breath in, pull it back, and exhale, soften your shoulders. One more big pull back of that hip crease. And a breath out to soften your shoulders. Walk your hands back in. Hands either side of your hips. Good bend of your knees, bring your legs together. Give them a shake. And then take a lie down on your back. So if your back feels sore or tender in any way, bent knees, feet on the floor, gives your lower back a bit of a stretch. So if it feels like it needs that, then rest in that position, and any time you want to, you can stretch your legs out. If your back is feeling fine, then stretch your legs out maybe as wide apart as the mat with your feet, but let your feet flop wherever they want to flop. Arms a little way away from your sides. And as you turn your palms up, turn the whole length of your arms, even to your armpits and shoulders, turn them in the same direction. Maybe shuffle your shoulder blades so that they're comfy on the floor. Back of your neck long, and a heavy weight through the back of your head. Close your eyes. Turn back to the sensation of any breeze that you can feel. If you can't feel one, you're feeling out for it, just in case it comes. All your attention on feeling out for any breeze. Few slightly deeper breaths. If you're breathing in, bringing a bit more energy into your body. And then gently move your arms beyond your head. Stretch them long. Bring your legs together. Push your heels away. Pull your toes up towards your face. And then point your toes away from you. Release that big stretch. And then bend your knees, feet onto the mat. Knees on your chest. Hand on each knee, and then hands guide your knees around in a big circle. And back the other way. Stopping, place your feet back on the floor. Take a roll over to the side where you've got enough space. And then gently back up to sitting. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me.